A thread by Soul War. This is how President Trump will heal a nation divided. 40+% of the American people have been Pied Pipered into a Marxist wilderness. Half of them are so deep into it, regular Americans have no possibility of reasoning with them. This breeds conflict. Not even kidding. Watch. Typical immature, screaming, uneducated liberal wanting to destroy emancipation. Memorial had no idea it was paid for by freed slaves. She gets schooled by mature, educated tour guide. You cannot reason with her. It's simply not possible. The abyss between sane and rational people and where she's standing is too great. How did this happen? A second, darker America has been created in our midst as Americans slept. First, the enemies of America stealthily infiltrated academia. Young minds were supposed to be shaped and instructed there to prepare to live good lives, having acquired the capability and skill through education. Fuck that, we're communists. Let's indoctrinate them. And so they did. So, millions of young heads were filled with Marxist mush as their parents busied themselves at work. Marxists said, "Huzzah! Take that, America, for bringing down our glorious USSR." From preschool to postgraduate studies, eager hands have shaped the minds of America's future to fail. Little mind bombs trundling out to blow up on America's streets. As politicians and PTAs yammered about the failing and falling education system that became the black hole it is now that swallows billions of tax dollars a year with diminishing results. If only we knew what was wrong. The courts, news media, and entertainment were also victims of their long, insidious march through our institutions. But academia was the prize. When we lost that, we almost lost the war. No one told us we were in. Do you think this just happened overnight? Hell no. These fanatics didn't just wake up one morning to go full-blown brown shirt on anyone they deemed unwoke. This cult took careful time to inculcate its followers, using its knowledge of human nature to win converts and then devolve their identity. Leftists are a collective mind. We often comment on how leftists all act and sound the same. That's because their identity and humanity are being phased out of them to be replaced by the cult's ideology and accepted thinking. To say this is un-American is an understatement. The American spirit is based on free speech. Helpers in the government decided free-thinking Americans were problematic to their maintaining control. We were all programmed to some degree by media and culture, and that too did not just happen. We were being rendered harmless to interfere with their long-term goals. William Casey, 1981. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. This was started shortly after World War II, when certain shitbags behind the scenes decided to use what they had learned about Black propaganda during the war to manipulate enemy populations on us. They did this because the people running our government had bad intentions. There's a reason the man called the epitome of Middle America took one look at what he called the military-industrial complex and then went out and golfed. He knew he was unequal to the task of fixing it. Reagan, same. They did what they could, but they were decades too late for their capability. So, to sum up, all of our vital institutions were infested with Marxists intent on collapsing America to then step in and rescue it with their obviously superior Marxism. Stupid anti-Marxist control freaks made it easy for them. Who paid? We paid, to this very damn day. Yuri Bezmenov tried to warn us. We didn't even crack an eyelid. As what had taken root sprouted and grew and grew and grew. Well, now we're inundated with it. 40+% affected, 20+% deeply mentally ill, demoralized, dehumanized. It doesn't mean morale is low, it means no morals. Every nation that fell to Marxism was demoralized beforehand, using media, academia, and culture. Why didn't the Russian people rise up and demoralize? Why didn't Venezuelans demoralize? Why didn't people in Portland demoralize? Do you see it yet? It inculcates fear and doubt. This is Lubyanka prison in Moscow. Between 1920 and 1939, an estimated 200,000 Russians were executed in its basement. It is the headquarters of the RSB. It's how you can sit in a cafe and just watch the secret police beat the shit out of someone, then drag them out to be disappeared, and then shrug. Ah, guy must have done something to deserve it. Sip. We were on the road to serfdom. If you had told me that in 2006, I would have laughed. And then suddenly we were overtaken by the monsters. They have carefully prepared their Marxist cult over decades. It began to be unleashed under Obama. Think of this like a singer who worked diligently for 20 years to become that overnight sensation. We were doomed. One simple handoff to the witch, Queen of Angmar, Lord of the Rings reference, and you could stick a pitchfork in us. We were done. They'd have had the courts, the media, academia, and the United States government. Remember, this mainstream media would not be the broken shell it is now. The courts, God help us. Americans would slowly awaken to the realization they were being pushed into serfdom with no capability left to stop it, as Hillary laughed and cackled. Hey, what's that sound? Waboom! Oh my God, it's a miracle. We don't deserve Trump. He's saving us despite us. We fucked this up. We went to sleep. We allowed the enemy of America to indoctrinate our youth right in front of us. All other calamities flowed out of that. President Trump loves America. He shook his head in disbelief and then prepared for decades, just as they did. So we are now in quite a fix, huh? We love Trump, and he loves us. It's clear he's going to MAGA slide on November 3rd. But what about that 20% melting down in rage and violence? Do we just have to weather that, take it, and soldier on as more destruction unfolds as like the last 4 months? President Trump is a master builder and negotiator, but even he can't build a bridge to reach this woman and millions like her. So he's not going to do that. Here's what President Trump will do to offset decades of Marxist programming. Nothing. He's going to do nothing to them. They're not rational. It's pointless to try to deprogram, rehumanize millions of lost souls. So President Trump will do what he can do. One, protect us from them, 65 to 70% who are pro-America. Two, 20% of leftists are almost immediately recoverable. They will adapt. They will go with the flow. Three, the 20% hardcore Marxists firmly entrenched in the wilderness are probably lost and will descend into violent mental illness as the world that was being prepared for them is utterly destroyed, what I call the Pax Americana. Incredible peace, stability, and prosperity. Imagine having to wander that America, where rule of law is restored, their riots are ended, and their riots were ended hard on November 4th. With a show of force, every sane American, past fed up after months of rioting, cheered as their lawfare marching gets rolled up for ties to foreign money. Whoopsie. The money funding their riots and unhinged activism cut. The Justice Department and Department of Defense unleashed to let even the most fanatic of the cult know it's over. For that super hardcore 5%, the terrorists who don't habla sanity, they will become the wards, they will become prisoners, or they will become tombstones. All the while, President Trump will be standing in the middle ground of America. Common ground, common sense are found there. He will pull, by free will, as many Americans as he can from the extreme left and extreme right as he can. He'll be using powerful tools to do that. Success is one hell of a magnet. He'll be adding undreamed of prosperity and innovation that will boost the American quality of life overnight. That problematic 20% will shrink year by year as the American people completely reject the radical left's insane policies that they shoved into our faces over the last decade. We'll move on. If they can't or won't, we leave them behind. They were looking forward to a dystopian future where they would have an endless procession of victims. Not woke, stomp. Not woke as me, stomp, as the American dream died. You are witnessing the polarizing. On November 4th, the polarizing break begins. It will be brutal. You will see people on our side call for mercy. The hearts of our guardians will have none, and rightly so. The flock do not know the wolf. The sheepdog does and will bite hard. Otherwise, those whose nature is to inflict themselves will never stop. The universe is a meritocracy. You can reflect on that forever. To nurture or inflict in harmony with that universe is to flow with the universe as natural law intended. The left is disharmony. As I have stated repeatedly, their coin is chaos, division, disharmony, and destruction. We nurture, they inflict, water and fire. We can inflict, as it's called for, but we don't wish to. They delight in infliction and will create causes to justify it. Do you see it yet? President Trump is the herald of an amazing age. We are witnessing the dawn of that age. The mindless inflictors the enemy raised up among us will have no place in this new age, an age that nurtures life and builds genuine knowledge and capability to enhance humanity's rise. It begins on November 4th when Attorney General Barr and Secretary of Defense Esper shut the rioting down almost overnight. The Democrats and the radical left howl. Who gives a fuck? They're howling now. They've been howling since Trump won in 2016. So then they will pivot to terrorism and they will get crushed mercilessly. Then, as years of prosperity and stability roll by with the vast majority of the American people gratefully acknowledging the new normal, as the new media ensure we don't go back to sleep. Because that rabid 5 to 10% will be waiting out in the wilderness, waiting and watching. I'd like to say that they'll watch forever, but I know better. We lost our balance and nearly fell. It can happen again and probably will. Let's make it a century from now, okay? Not the next decade. Let's take this bitter lesson that we've been provided by human nature and learn from it. We've paid for this lesson in ways many don't even realize. To forget again would be unforgivable. The soul war is about mastering yourself to be a better, finer human being. We tame our inner beast. They unleash it. They think that's power. As angels weep and the universe groans. It's time to step up and take back our American spirit, a spirit that cultivates and enhances the belief in the individual and personal responsibility, merit. President Trump arrived at the last second to prevent a hideous fate from happening to us. Resolve to be worthy of that. To support the works of Brent Cates, donate any amount at paypal.me/Brent Cates.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.